Okay, so we will start the revision paper. Question number 1. Find the HCF and LCM of 60 and 84. So to calculate the HCF and LCM of both of these numbers, I will use the prime factorization method. Okay, so I will take 60 and divide it by 2. 60 divided by 2, we will get 30. 30, I will again divide by 2. So we will get 15. 15 I will divide by 3. So I will get 5 as the quotient. 5 again I will divide by 5. So then I get 1 as the quotient. Right. So now I am going to take the number 60 and write down all of these prime factors as a product. So 60 is equal to what? 2 into 2 into 3 into 5. Now I am going to take the number 84 and repeat the same process. So 84 I will divide by 2. 84 divided by 2 I will get 42. 42 I will divide by 2. 42 divided by 2 I will get a quotient of 21. 21 I will divide by 3. So I will get a quotient of 7. 7 I will divide by 7. So the quotient will be right. So again I will take the number 84 and write down the prime factors as a product. So 84 is equal to what? 2 into 2 into 3 into 7. Now I will select from these factors what are the common factors, right? So here we can take 2, which is common to both numbers. So I will write 2. Then again we can take 2, right? So again I will write 2. Then we can take what? 3. Then what do? We will take the product. That means simply multiply these numbers. So 2 into 2 that is 4. 4 into 3 that is 12. Right. So we get the answer as 12. That means what? If we consider these two numbers and we calculate the HCF, what will be the value? 12. Right. So for this part you will be getting 1 mark. And remember, when you are writing answers for these kinds of questions, right, your working should be visible. Right. Right. Part 2, question number 1. So in part 2 we have to calculate the LCM, least common multiple of 60 and 84. Right. So for that also we need to write down prime factors of each number, and also we have to write them as what? A product. Right? So we have done that before. So I have written what I have written on the previous question on the whiteboard again. Now what do we have to do? We have to write this expression using what? Index notation. Right? So if we take this one, which is the first one, right? So that means 2 to the power 2 into 3 to the power 1 and into 5 to the power 1. So now we come to the second expression, which is this one. So we have to write this expression using index notation. So that means 2 to the power 2 into 3 to the power 1 into 7 to the power 1. Now, what do we have to do? We have to select the indices which has the highest exponent when considering one base, right? So if we consider the base of 2, in the first expression we have 2 to the power 2, and in the second expression also we have 2 to the power 2. That means when we consider the base 2, which one is the highest one? Both of them are highest, no? So we can write 2 to the power 2. Then both of these expressions have the base 3. And if we consider the exponent, both of them also is what? 1. So when we take the base 3, right, which is the highest indices, 3 to the power 1. So 3 to the power 1. Right? In the same manner, when we consider base 5, there is only one base 5. So we have to consider this indices, right? So that means 5 to the power 1. right? So same thing goes to 7, so we have to write 7 to the power 1. Now we are not done. What do we have to do? We have to take the product. So when we take the product of this expression, what will it be? 420. So that means when we consider 60 and 84, right? What is the LCM? 420. 420. So for the correct answer, you will be getting 1 mark. Right. Question number 2. So we have been given 2 statements. We have to check whether those 2 are true or false. So the first one, a rectangle has 4 lines of symmetry. So here we have a rectangle. If you focus on the blue colored lines, those 2 are the lines of symmetry regarding the rectangle. That means a rectangle has only 2 lines of symmetry. What about these 2 lines? The black colored ones. Those are not lines of symmetry. Right. So the first statement is false. What is the statement? It says a rectangle has 4 lines of symmetry. So the rectangle has only 2 lines of symmetry. So the statement is false. Right. What is the next statement? A square has only 2 lines of symmetry. Now take a look at this diagram. So here I have drawn the lines of symmetry regarding a square. So how many lines are there? 1, 2, 3 and 4. The square has 4 lines of symmetry. But in the statement it says a square has only 2 lines of symmetry. So only 2 lines. So that is wrong. Right? So the second statement is also false. So we have both statements, right? If you got them correctly, you get 1 mark each, right? Okay. Right. Question number 3. Write down the value of the 7 in the number 1074. Right. So here we have the number 7. So that is on the tens place. So we have to calculate the value. So what do we need to do? The digit is 7. The place value is 10. So 7 into 10, what is that? 70. So what is the answer? 70. Right. Question number 4. Work out 31.7 into 100. Right. So what do we have here? We have a decimal number multiplied by 100. We need to what? Simplify this. 100 means what? It is a power of 10. 10 to the power 2. Right? 100 means what? 10 to the power 2, no? Right? So what do we have to do? We have to multiply a decimal number by a power of 10. So what do we have to do? When we multiply a decimal number by a power of 10, what happens? This decimal place moves to the right side. How many places? 2 places. How do we know? That's a shortcut. 100 has 2 zeros, no? So this decimal point moves to the what direction? Right side. How many places? 2 places. So finally what will be the answer? 3170. Right. Question number 5. So we have been given a fraction. So we have to simplify it. Okay. So we can divide the numerator and the denominator by what? By 7. 28 divided by 7, we get what? 4. 70 divided by 7, we get a 10. Here also, we can further simplify. We can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. 4 divided by 2, we get a 2. 10 divided by 2, we get a 5. So, 2 by 5, that is the final answer. Question number 6. The perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 624 centimeters. And also we have been given the height of the triangle, which is k square root 3 centimeters. So where k is a constant. what is the value of k? So here we know the perimeter, right? What is the perimeter? Perimeter is 624 centimeters. So the value we know. And the triangle is what? What type of a triangle? Equilateral triangle. So what are they asking? Value of k. So do we need the height of the triangle? No, we don't need it, right? So if we write an expression regarding the perimeter of this equilateral triangle, what will it be? 2k plus 2k plus 2k, that is equal to 624. What is the outcome? What are these? Like terms. So 2k plus 2k plus 2k, what is that? 6k. 6k is equal to what? 624. So what is the value of k? K is equal to 624 divided by 6. Right? So 6 times how many are there? 1. For 2 there is no 6's, and for 24 we get 4. So this will be what? 104. So since this 624 is centimeters, this value is also centimeters. So this is the answer. Right. Question number 7. So we have to simplify this expression. Right. So I will use the long division method. Right. So 5.18, I have to divide it by what? 7. So how many 7's are there for 5? None. So we put a 0. 7 times 0, what is that? 0. 5 minus 0, we get a what? 5. Then put the decimal point and drag down the 1. So for 51, how many 7's are there? We can go up to 7. 7 times 7, what is that? 49. 51 minus 49, we get a 2. Now drag down this 8, altogether 28. How many 7's are there for 28? 4. 7 times 4, what is that? 28. 28 minus 28, we get a 0. So here, what is the answer? 0.74. So for this question, your working should be visible. ඔයා මේක සුළු කරපු විදිහ පේන්න තියෙන්න ඕන. Right. Right. Question number 8. So we have to simplify these two decimals. That means we just have to multiply these two. So these two are what? Decimals. So when we multiply decimals, what do? We imagine these two decimals without any decimal places. So what will it be? 0.8 will be 8. 1.2 will be what? 12. So 8 into 12, what is that? We know that is 96. Right? So the thing is, this is not the answer that we need. What is 96? 8 into 12. So in the original expression that we need to calculate, how many decimal places are here? 2 decimal places, no? 0.8 has 1 decimal place. 1.2 has another decimal place. So altogether, how many decimal places? 2 decimal places. So this answer, what do we have to do? In order to get the correct answer, that means 0.8 into 1.2, how many decimal places should be there in the answer? 2. So this answer should be what? 0.96. That is the answer. Okay, question number 9. So what do we have to do? We have to find the value of x. Okay, so the first thing I will do is what? I will divide both sides by 2, right? Now what happens? I can cancel out these 2. So 2 times 1 and 2 times 9, right? So here what do we have? 4x minus 1, that is equal to what? 9. Now I can get rid of this minus 1 by doing what? By adding a 1. Do the same thing to the other side, right? So I can cancel off these 2. So 4x is equal to what? 10. Now what is the value of x? How do we find it? We have to divide 4x by 4, right? So divide by what? Divide by 4. So we have to do the same thing on the other side. So here I can cancel off these 2, right? So 10 divided by 4, what is that? We get 2.5. So what is the value of x? X is equal to 2.5. Okay, question number 10. In the figure below, all line segments are measured in feet and have integer lengths. The areas of two rectangles and one square has been given in square feet. What is the area of rectangle WXYZ in square feet? Right. So in this figure, we have to come up with the value for the entire area of this rectangle WXYZ. Okay. So in the question, it is mentioned that we have been given the values for the area for two rectangles and one square. So we can assume that this part is that square part. So the area is 25. So we can say the length and the breadth is what? 5. By considering the symmetry, if this length is 5 feet, this length is also 5 feet. That means this length is also 5 feet. Right? 5. That means this. Okay, so if we consider this portion, what is that? The shape, it is a rectangle. Okay? Right. So the length is 5. And if the area is 15 square feet, what should be the width? It should be 3, no? It should be 3. Okay. Okay. So here, if this length is 3 feet, that means since this figure, right? Since this figure is a rectangle, opposite sides are equal in length, no? So this length is also 3 feet. Now consider this figure. What is that? What is the shape of the figure? Again, we have a rectangle. So opposite sides are equal in length, right? So this length is also 3 feet. That means this length is also 3 feet. Right. Now we focus on this portion. So what is the shape? As I have mentioned before, the shape is what? Rectangular. So the total area is 21 square feet. Width we know that is 3. Then what is the length? It must be 7 feet, no? 7 times 3 we get what? 21, no? Okay. So now we know the entire length and the width of this diagram. That means WXYZ. Right? So what is the length? Length. What is the length? The length is what? 5 plus 7, that is 12. So these are feet. What is the width? 3 plus 5, what is that? 8 feet. So how do we calculate the area? 12 into 8. So what is the total area? We get 96. So it should be square feet. Square feet. So this is the answer. Always remember, you have to mention the unit. Huh? Right. Question number 11. So here we have been given an expression, right? And we have to simplify this. Okay. So first of all, we need to start simplifying the brackets. That means whatever inside the brackets, right? So 2 plus 2, what do we have? A 4, right? So then what about the remaining part of the expression? Between the 2 and the 4, what do we have? A multiplication. And here between 8 and 2, nothing has changed. So we have what? A division. Now we have a single expression where we have two mathematical operations. So both of these have the same priority. So we have to start from the left and simplify towards the right. So 8 divided by 2, that's a 4. Then what do we have? 4 into 4, what is that? 16. So the answer is 16. Right, question number 12. So we have been given this expression and we have to substitute these two values and come up with the answer. Right. So 3a means 3 into a. What is a? 4 plus 2 into c. So what is c? negative 2. So 3 into 4, that is 12. 2 into 2, we know that's a 4. Positive into negative, we know that's a negative. That means 12 minus 4. 12 minus 4 means what? 8. So the answer is 8. Right. So from here, we can continue towards the answer using another method also. Right? So 12 minus 4. We can rewrite this as what? 12. Instead of minus, I'm going to put plus. So here, what is the sign of this 4? Positive. When this minus becomes positive, the sign of positive 4 changes into what? Negative 4. Now 12, it's a positive 12 plus negative 4. What's the answer? Positive 8. Right. Question number 13. Draw a chord on the circle. Chord means what? Regards to a circle. Simply, it is a line where it connects 2 points on the circle. Right? So, in this manner which I have drawn on the whiteboard, you can draw any chord, but the thing is, the line should be connecting 2 points on the circle. Right. Right. Question number 14. So, we have been given this expression to factorize. Right? So, this expression has 2 terms. So, we can take the factor as what? 3. So, what goes inside the circle? Y plus 5, no? Right? Take 3y. So, we have chosen 3 as the factor of these 2 terms, no? So, what do? 3y. So, that's the first term. We divide it by 3. This is the factor. Right? So, I can cancel off these 2. So, what is the outcome? Y. Positive into positive, this is positive. Positive divided by positive, this is positive. So, the next term, what is that? 15. So, 15 we have to, just as before, we have to divide by what? 3. 15 divided by 3, we get a 5. This is positive, this is positive. So, the outcome is also positive. So, y plus 5, those are the 2 terms that goes inside the brackets. So, this is the answer. Right. So, this is question number 15. So, here also we have been given an expression. So, we have to factorize. So, we have 2 terms. So, the factor will be what? Simple A. So, what goes inside the brackets? A plus 3. Right. So, when we talk about what goes inside the brackets, right? So, here the factor is A now. So, this is the first term. A square. A square divided by A. A square divided by A means what? What is the outcome? Simply A. Right? So here what do we have? 3A. 3A divided by A. What is the outcome? 3. And I have forgotten to mention, both of these terms are positive. This is positive, this is positive. So the outcome is also positive. Here the same thing. 3A is positive. Simple A is positive, so the outcome is also positive. So what goes inside the bracket? A plus 3. Right. Question number 16. So we have been given a fraction to simplify. So the easiest method to approach this question is, here we have the top part and the bottom part, no? So it would be better for us if we simplify those 2 parts separately. So 2 minus 1 by 6. So I can write 2 as a fraction. So the denominator will be 1. Then what happens? 2 by 1. I have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 6, no? So this becomes what? 12 by 6 minus 1 by 6. So 12 by 6 minus 1 by 6. What's the outcome? 11 by 6. So we will write it on another place like this. So that's the outcome of the top part. Now we will do the same thing. That means we will simplify the bottom part. So 1 minus 1 by 12. So 1 means what? 12 by 12 minus 1 by 12. So here what's the outcome? 11 by 12. 11 by 12. Right. Now what do we have to do? 11 by 6 divided by 11 by 12. Okay. So I will continue the simplification on this side. So 11 by 6 division, I will replace it by a multiplication. Then the reciprocal of 11 by 12, which is what? 12 by 11. So here I can easily cancel off these two 11s, and 6 times 1, 6 times 2. So here the answer is what? Question number 17. The equation for a straight line in a graph is y equals 3x. So y equals 3x. State whether the given statements below are true or false. Okay. First one, the gradient of the graph is 3x. So this is false, no? Gradient of the graph is what? Not 3x. What is that? Gradient means m, no? So that is equal to 3, not 3x, right? So the first statement is what? False. So the second one, the angle the straight line of the graph makes with the x-axis is an obtuse angle, right? So if we think about the shape of y equals mx type graph, right? What is the shape? It goes through the origin, no? Right? So something like this, no? So what are they asking? The angle the straight line of the graph makes with the x-axis. That means this angle they are talking about. Is it an obtuse angle? No. It is what? An acute angle. So the angle is what? Acute. So the statement is false. Right? So for part 1, the correct response is false. So you will be getting 1 mark. For part 2, the correct response is false. So you will be getting another 1 mark. Altogether 2 marks. Right. Question number 18. So in question number 18, we have been given a graph. Right? So we need to come up with the equation for the graph. Right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to observe the given graph very carefully. So when we do that, we can clearly see that the graph cuts the y-axis. That means if we consider the general form or the general term of the equation, it should be what? Y equals mx plus c. And another thing, the graph cuts the y-axis at -1. That means the value of c is -1. Then what do we have to do? The only thing that is remaining that has to find is what? The value of m, or the value of the gradient. Okay, so now we know the value of the y-intercept. The next thing that we need to do is we need to come up with the value for the simple m, or the gradient. When we calculate the gradient of a graph, the most important thing that we need to remember is what? First of all, we need to pick 2 points that is on the graph, right? We need to pick 2 points that is on the graph, right? Now imagine that this is the graph. Okay, so here we have the y-axis, here we have the x-axis, right? And this is the line of the graph. So here we need to pick 2 points that is on the graph, something like this. Then we need to write down the coordinates of that graph. These 2 points. So we need to write down the coordinates, right? When we write down the coordinates, you know that one value will be the x coordinate and the other one will be the y coordinate, no? Right? So we need to write those things. Then what do we have to do? Gradient, or simple m, is equal to what? Y divided by x. But even though we write it in this manner, here what is meant by y? The difference. When we take x, y divided by x. So x means what? X means the difference of the x values. So even though we write m equals y divided by x, it is actually what? Difference of the y-axis we need to divide by the difference of the x-axis. So that is the thing that we need to do. Right. So now I'm going to pick 2 points, that is on the graph, and I'm going to write the coordinates, right? So 1 point has the coordinates of 3, 8. That means the x coordinate is 3 and the y coordinate is 8. Okay. And the other one. So there I'm going to take the point where the x coordinate is 2 and the y coordinate is 5. X coordinate is 2 and the y coordinate is 5. Okay, so these are the 2 points that is on the graph. Then what do we have to do? When we calculate the gradient, first of all we need to take the difference of the y-axis. Sorry, difference of the y coordinates, right? So that means what? M, which is gradient, if this is one y coordinate, no, this is another y coordinate, no, if this is y1 and the other one is y2, how do we calculate the difference? Y1 minus y2, right? In the same manner, if this is x1, this is x coordinate, no, so this is x coordinate 1, and if this is x coordinate 2, what will be the difference of the x coordinates? x1 minus x2, right? So gradient m is equal to what? y1 is 8, y2 is 5, the difference is what? 8 minus 5. Divide by, now we come to the difference of x coordinates, right? So x1 is 3 and y coordinate, x2 is what? 2. x1 is what? 3, x2 is 2, right? So 8 minus 5, we know that's a 3. 3 minus 2, we know that's a 1. So what is the value of m? This is simply equal to what? 3. Okay, so now we know the value for the gradient, which is m, is 3. So this is positive 3, right? And the value for y-intercept, that is negative 1. So what will be the equation of the graph? Y equals 3x minus 1. Right, question number 19. So we have to calculate, or we have to find the magnitude of angle x. Now observe the diagram. So x is inside the triangle, right? When we think about the triangle, x is here. What is the magnitude of this angle? 90 degrees. The symbol is there. So if we can find the magnitude of this angle, then considering the triangle, the internal angles of the triangle, we can easily calculate simple x, right? So how do we calculate the magnitude of this angle? Now if we observe the diagram, we can see two parallel straight lines. We know when there are parallel lines, we can observe allied angles. So when we talk about allied angles, when there are parallel straight lines, sum of allied angles is what? 180. That is sum of a pair of allied angles. So that is equal to 180. That means if this angle is 130, definitely this angle should be 50 degrees. Now, since this line is what? A straight line, we can easily calculate the magnitude of this angle. So I will rename it as what? Y. So what is the magnitude of y? Y is equal to 180 degrees minus, we have to take the sum of these two angles, which is what? 100 plus 50, right? So 180 degrees minus 100 plus 50 means what? 150. So 180 minus 150, what is that? 30 degrees. So y is equal to what? 30 degrees. That is not the answer. We have to calculate y. Now, simply what do we have to do? Consider the triangle and calculate the value of x. So x is equal to what? 180 minus 90 plus 30, no? Right? So that means 180 minus 120. So that is what? 60 degrees. So value of x angle is what? 60 degrees. Right, question number 20. Simplify. So under that we have two parts. First of all, we will discuss the first part. So this is the expression that we have. So this is a power of a power, right? So what is the outcome? 2 into 5, what is that? P to the power 10. Right. So question number 20, part 2. So this is the expression that we have, right? So we will write this in another way. Okay, so this is the same expression written in this manner, right? These two are the same, right? So here 6 times 1, 6 times 2. So on the above we have x to the power 7 and below we have x to the power 3. So we know we have what? Division of indices with the same base. So what do we have to do? We have to subtract. So 7 minus 3, what is that? 4. That means x to the power 4, right? 2 x to the power 4. Then here y to the power 3. This is what? Y to the power 1. So 3 minus 1, what do we get? 2. That means y to the power 2. So this will be the answer. Right. So for the first part, you will be getting 1 mark for the correct response. And for the second part, you will be getting another 1 mark. So the total marks are what? 2 marks. Right. Question number 21. So we have been given two expressions that we need to simplify. This is the first one. So here we have two terms. So we have to select the common factor. So by looking at these two terms, the common factor should be what? 3x, right? So by now, you really have to be familiar with how to come up with the common factor, right? So what goes inside the brackets? How do we find that, right? So here we have 9x squared, no? That's the first term. So we will divide it by the common factor or the factor, right? So what is the outcome? 3 times 1, 3 times 3. And here, if we take the algebraic terms, what is the simplification? X to the power 1 or 3x, right? X to the power 1 or 3x. So that is one term which goes inside the brackets. And this is positive, so the outcome is also positive. Then what's the other term? The next one, other term in the sense, what's the other term that goes inside the bracket, right? So in the initial expression that had been given to us, the second term is 6x. So we will divide 6x by the common factor, which is 3x. So 3 times 1, 3 times 2. So here I can cancel off these two x's, right? So what goes inside the bracket? 2. So this is the final answer for part 1. Right, question number 21 under that part 2. So we have been given these two expressions to simplify. So here we need to expand the brackets, right? So x into x, we know that is x squared. Positive into positive, this is positive. X into 9, we know that is 9x. Positive into negative, we know this is negative. 5 into x, we know that is 5x. Positive into positive, we know this is positive. 5 into 9, we know that is 45. Positive into negative, we know this is negative, right? So these two terms we can further simplify. So x squared, so we have what? Two like terms, we have to add them together. One is a negative and the other one is a positive. So if we take the negative number, if we think about only the negative number is larger, or negative has the majority. So the outcome of these two terms is what? Negative. Simply, then what do we have to do? Take the difference. 9 minus 5, we know that is 4. So this is 4x minus 45. Right? So this will be the answer. Right. Question number 22. So there also we have two parts. This is the first one. So they are asking us to write this as an ordinary number. Right? So by observing this, you have to know that this number has been written down in scientific notation. Right? So what is the ordinary number? 0. Here we have 10 to the power negative 3, no? So 00163. So this is the answer. Right. Question number 22. Under that, part 2. So we have been given this number. We need to write it in scientific notation. So this is a pretty straightforward question. So when we write this number in scientific notation, it should be what? 4.38 multiplied by 10 to the power, how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 to the power 5. Right? So essentially what do we have to do? We have to convert this number into a number between 1 and 10. Right? So when we do that, this is the answer that we get. Right? So for the first part, you will be getting 1 mark. And for the second part, you will be getting another 1 mark. Altogether, the total marks are 2. Question number 23. So we have been given this expression to simplify. Not only to simplify, then we have to write down the answer in standard form. So first of all, we will simplify the brackets. So we will get the same values. 4 into 10 to the power 3 multiplied by 6 into 10 to the power negative 5. Right? So 4 into 6, we know that is 24 multiplied by, here we have 10 to the power 3. Here we have 10 to the power negative 5. So what's the outcome? 10 to the power negative 2. So we need to write down the answer in standard form now. So what is the answer? 0.24. 0.24. Right. Question number 24. We have been given this expression. We need to come up with the general term. So the first thing is we need to calculate the common difference. Right? So what's a common difference? Take any two consecutive numbers, then calculate the difference. So I'm going to pick 7 and 4. So what's the difference? 7 minus 4, we get a 3. Right? So we know when we talk about the general term of a number sequence, there is always a term which is followed by n. So here we got the common difference as 3. So the term with the n is 3n. So one part is done. What's the next thing that we need to do? This is the common difference now. Right? This is the common difference. This is the first term. What do we need to do? We need to take the first term of the number sequence and take the common difference, which is 3, and we need to subtract 3 from 1. So 1 minus 3, what do we get? Negative 2. Right? Then we need to add this to 3n. Right? So we can write 3n plus negative 2, or we can simply write 3n minus 2. 3n minus 2. So the general term for this number sequence is what? 3n minus 2. So tn, that is equal to 3n minus 2. Right. Question number 25. So here we need to show that in the given expression, the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So simply what do we need to do? We need to take the values in the left hand side of the equation and simplify it and see whether we are getting this value. Right? So first thing is, if we consider the left hand side, we have two fractions where both are mixed numbers. So the first thing is we need to convert them into improper fractions. 2 and 1 by 3, right? So when we convert this into improper fractions, the numerator will be 7 and the denominator will be 3. Take 3 and 3 by 4, right? If we convert this into improper fractions, the denominator will be 4 and the numerator will be 15. So I can write 7 by 3 multiplied by 15 by 4. So now I can further simplify. 3 times 1, 3 times 5. 7 into 5, we know that is 35. 35 and the denominator will be 4. Now here, this fraction, it is an improper fraction. So we need to convert that into what? A mixed number. So when we do that, we get what? 8 as the whole number, 4 as the denominator, and 3 as the numerator. So here we can see that we get the same value. These two are equal, no? Right? So we have done the thing correctly, right? Okay. And now we can safely say, if we take this expression, the left hand side is equal to right hand side.